Grogu will always be a baby. It's the dream.
Forever baby.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick before questions, we need to send a shout out and a thank you to Michael Fry, who joined our Patreon at the Jedi Council level this past week. Thank you so much, Michael, for your insane generosity.
For our first question, Ormappa asks, which New York Comic Con announcement got us most excited?
In all honesty, the one that made me scream out of excitement was Kelly Knox's Star Wars Dad Jokes book.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Because we've been following Kelly on Twitter for forever, and she posts dad jokes like every day. Just these grown-worthy Star Wars puns that, like, in a good way.
Yeah.
A grown is as good as a laugh.
Sure.
They make me laugh every single day. So seeing that they're letting her just do a compilation of her dad jokes, I'm like, okay, that's awesome.
Nothing has ever felt so right
Exactly.
in the world as that announcement.
For something that's actually like a story in Star Wars, I was excited about the Jango Fett comic the most, I think. I've enjoyed Ethan Sachs' work in the Bounty Hunters comic. That one's been kind of up and down for me. Right now, it's on the up. I'm really liking what they're doing in the Dark Droids arc, but I feel like he'll do a good job with Jango Fett. He's already even kind of eased into that character in the Bounty Hunters comic. So that's just someone that I think we're all excited to learn more about.
Mm-hmm. I get excited about the different encyclopedia books that come out. So the character encyclopedia that's coming out looks pretty neat.
Yeah, that one's focused on the High Republic,
yeah,
which I'm excited about, that they have that many characters to warrant a whole encyclopedia.
Yeah, and it's always nice to be able to put a face to a name, and there are a lot of names in the High Republic, so I'm going to be studying that book so that I can like try to remember what all the characters look like so that I can visualize them while I'm reading.
That's a good point. There's probably going to be some new art for some of these characters that maybe we haven't gotten a chance to see before. I'm sure there'll be some new details, but yeah, I feel like we haven't had a ton of reference books up until recently, and now like timelines came out, and I loved that. This character encyclopedia will be good. I know there's one surrounding the rebellion that I think is like 2 months away, so I'm happy for more Star Wars reference books.
We're also getting a Stellan Gios lightsaber.
Oh, right.
Which is pretty dope looking.
That's true. I was thinking of like actual publishing announcements, but yeah, I do want an actual High Republic lightsaber hilt, an official one. That's pretty cool.
Diabologist wants to know if the Thrawn Alliance's adaptation mean the Grysk are coming to live action.
Yeah, that was another announcement that we're getting an adaptation of Thrawn Alliances from Jody Houser and Timothy Zahn. I'm psyched about that too. I thought Jody's original Thrawn adaptation was good. I don't think it means anything for the Grysk as far as live action goes. Like, just because Bounty Hunters is in my head already. Byler Valance has been in the comics for quite a while, and that hasn't been a hint that he is coming to live action. Sure, Thrawn just made his live action debut, but I almost think that the fact that they're going to appear in a comic first, potentially, is kind of... It's either that they're going to take those ideas from live action and put it into the comic, but I doubt it. Like... I think if they were going to be in live action, they would save them for a live action reveal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see the Grysk coming to live action just because the lead up that we've gotten so far in all these live action shows, the ones that are kind of connected anyways, there's really no room for a random alien species to show up and all of a sudden be the main focus. Like it's pretty clear what the sides are, and I feel like having the Grysk show up would be totally out of left field.
Yeah, I think that they're building up to, like they said, it's a war between the Imperial Remnant and the New Republic. They could throw a curveball and be like, hey, the Grysk are here and we need to unite to fight them. But I really don't think they're going to all of a sudden make the message of Star Wars be like, we should team up with the military dictatorship to fight the Grysk. Like, yeah. I think the Grysk are going to be Timothy Zahn's domain, I do think we're going to get more Chiss ascendancy stories. Mm-hmm. We're probably going to follow up with Eli Vanto and Admiral Aralani and the Grysk. But I don't think they're going to be making their way into live action anytime soon. And there's also a part of me that wonders if they're just going to troll us in the comic and keep them in the shadows or something. And we'll be like, well, we still don't know what they are.
Well, yeah, because they weren't really in alliances that much.
Yeah, I think that was the first time we even learned about them. So it was kind of the first step into that world. It is the first description we got of them, I believe. And then Treason built on it a little more. But to go on like the comic stuff again, the first Thrawn adaptation was the first time we ever saw a Chiss warship in canon. But that wasn't hinting that, oh, Chiss warships are coming to live action. So I don't think this is any hint that the Grysk are coming.
I think the only reason why we're getting this comic adaptation is because Thrawn is popular and Anakin/Vader is popular. And they're hanging out in this book together. So, boom, make it a comic.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's a Thrawn resurgence. New people, a new audience is meeting Thrawn for the first time. So it's a good time to put out a new adaptation. But it's kind of like the Aura Singh thing where people thought that Aura Singh was going to be big in episode 2 because they did a bunch of comics about her, when really it meant that she was a safe character that wasn't going to be explored in live action. So it's like, oh yeah, do anything you want with Aura Singh. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is the same thing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Nate asks how connected we think Skeleton Crew will be to the larger Mandoverse.
Well, there was some interesting stuff that came out about, I think it was like in Production Weekly or something, about its inevitable premiere. And there was a tiny synopsis in it, and it mentioned a strange galaxy. So there is a chance that these poor kids could get whisked away to this new galaxy or a completely different galaxy. I don't know.
A strange galaxy?
Uh-huh.
I didn't get that at all from the stuff that we've seen so far from
Neither
Skeleton
did I.
Crew.
Yeah, the stuff at Star Wars Celebration didn't really show us much. It was like, here are the kids. There's Jude Law. There's a pirate. So, but it sounds like there's a chance that they could go off to some other galaxy. Whether or not it's the Peridia galaxy remains to be seen. It could just be that Star Wars is like, you know what? Other galaxies are a thing, and we're just going to go to all of them all the time now.
I guess hearing that, it could also just mean that because from what we have seen in Skeleton Crew, it's kind of like showing us the more mundane type of life of the parents of these kids. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if it's more about just the overall adventure that the kids are about to go on, because we know that they're going to come into contact with some of the pirates that we have seen in The Mandalorian. So it could be more just about strange new adventures in this galaxy.
Honestly, I think that is a good point, that the wording of that, as Star Wars fans, you know, we see things and we over dissect them, where it could be, wow, a whole new world. Mm-hmm. Aladdin wasn't singing that to Jasmine being like, we're literally going to another world. It's just like, the whole galaxy is opened up to us, and it's strange to us. We've never been off of our planet. So there is a chance that wording might just be something they should have workshopped a little more. But then again, it hasn't been officially released yet. So it was like some production document that was published somewhere, but it's not like it was an official Lucasfilm PR announcement. Anyway, like you said, the pirates from The Mandalorian are going to be in it. We saw Vane at the celebration footage. I don't know. Like,
we could get some New Republic connections, maybe.
I think that's likely, because I can't quite remember what the celebration footage showed, but you talked about like the mundane life of the suburban Star Wars parent. It seemed like they might work in government jobs. At least they work in cubicles. I do remember that. Yeah. That could just be a boring old office job. Who knows? But I could see some New Republic stuff happening in there. if they were to go to another galaxy, I'll say I don't want it to connect with Ahsoka. I don't want these kids to accidentally rescue her and Sabine, just because that would feel like such a big build-up thing from the end of Ahsoka to then just in the next series be like, oh, well, thanks for the ride. That was easy.
Yeah, that would be no good.
But I don't know. It's so hard to say right now because we haven't seen an official trailer or any real marketing surrounding it since Celebration, which again wasn't publicly released. So it's hard to make guesses, but I do think that it'll be probably as connected as Ahsoka was, where it largely told its own story. But yeah, we had the New Republic. Carson Teva will probably pop up in it somehow.
Carson, I could see Hera maybe popping up just because Jason is about the same age as these kids, and there have been rumors or questions of like, is Jason going to be in this?
There haven't been rumors of that. We have all
rumors from just
speculation.
Yeah, speculation is a better word, but I wouldn't mind if Jason were in it. I loved him in Ahsoka, and I want to get to know him more.
I do still think that has a chance of happening. Jason being established in Ahsoka to then make a larger appearance in the show that's about kids.
Oh, what if AP5 were in it? That would be perfect.
What a jump to make.
What a perfect addition to that show.
Have him sing a little song.
Mm-hmm. Have him be like the babysitter. He would hate that.
Yeah. There's some comedy potential there. Same with Hondo. That's just because we know pirates are in it.
Yeah.
People have thrown around Hondo's name a lot, including me. I'm like, that would be fun.
Vaxsteel wants to know if we saw the BD droids at Disneyland. Oh, that was like a whole day where nothing I saw didn't have those little videos in them, and I love them so much.
It would have been impossible to miss them, frankly. But yeah, very excited about them. I love that they're not quite like BD-1. They're BD-inspired droids for sure, but, BD-1 is pretty nimble, can run, jump. He's got a rocket booster. And these droids, it almost made them more endearing that I was like, look at you trying your best.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of stout and they're just waddling around.
The fact that they can walk around on their own is adorable. And, like, when BD-1 walks, he can go, like, really quick.
He'll do a little skitter.
But because these are actual tiny robots, they're kind of like...
just trundling around.
They're just doing their best. And is that something that you can buy, or is that just like,
no.
Is that just for the park? I assumed you could buy them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if you could, we would have been bankrupted already.
Take all my money.
Yeah. Those have got to be insanely expensive.
I don't know. Robot technology is a thing now. It's been around for a while.
I would definitely want to take one and keep one safe. But yeah, I loved seeing them and seeing everyone freaking out over them. Mm-hmm. I bet it's just like a step in the evolution of a full BD-1. I'm sure that's what they're working towards. Mm-hmm. But that alone, I was like, let them loose in the park. I'm about it. We'll shove one in a backpack and make a run for it.
Definitely going to try to steal one of those if I ever saw one.
Well, now we're implicated. We can't put this video up. If one gets stolen ever,
just kidding,
we're going to be the first ones the police come to. They're like, look, you said you were going to do it. Where were you on X date? There's going to be pictures of us up at Disneyland now. Like, Don't let these people in.
Just wear one of those glasses with the nose and the mustache.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you ever have trouble staying present and in the moment like Qui-Gon advises Obi-Wan to do?
Keep your concentration here and now where it belongs.
I know I have. I've struggled with anxiety for years as my thoughts drift off to worries about the future. Something that's helped me work through those thoughts is by talking about them. Therapy gives you a judgment-free place to do exactly that, so you can get out of negative thought cycles and find some mental peace. In the past, my therapists have helped me regain perspective on some issues I was grappling with and taught me some coping skills to prevent going down a rabbit hole of anxiety. If you've ever considered therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just have to fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists for any time for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/SWE today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SWE.
Michael Inslane wants to know if we were excited to see the Avatar The Last Airbender live-action stills.
Speaking of Carson Teva, yeah, I was really psyched to see Paul Sun-Hyung Lee and all of the Avatar actors in the live-action versions of these characters. I was surprised at how good it looked.
Yeah, they all look near perfect, in my opinion, for the casting and the characters that they're playing.
Like, I was psyched for the Uncle Iroh casting already. I was like, that's perfect. But seeing him in the full costume, I was like, wow. I was impressed.
Yeah.
We love Avatar. It's very, I would say it's Star Wars adjacent. It's got
very
similar
Star Wars coded.
Yeah, similar messages. Dave Filoni worked on it, and it's just great.
Mm-hmm.
I do have the question of, like, are they going to do anything different with it? I guess I hope it's not a one-to-one translation. Like, it's kind of like the same reason I haven't seen any of the Disney live-action remakes. I'm like, I'd rather just watch the animated version. I'm interested in what they do with Avatar, but you know, the animated version is already like near perfect in my opinion. So I'm hopeful that there's some new stuff for us to experience.
Yeah, I am excited to see this, but I can't help but think, like, do we really need live action versions of all these really, really amazing animated shows? They always seem to kind of let people down. So as excited as I am by the stills and the casting, in the back of my mind, I'm still just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I really like the animated show. I don't think I needed a live action version, but I'm still going to watch it.
It's like, I have seen Cowboy Bebop, the anime. I have not seen the live action version because I heard it wasn't good. And I heard that Death Note wasn't good, but One Piece is apparently getting really good reviews. I haven't seen the live action or animated version of that. So, but I think that maybe Netflix is stepping up their anime adaptations, but it is just one of those things where I don't know if it's needed, but for whatever reason, people get more excited about live action over animation. And that stigma against animation just needs to stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why people look at like Avatar and go like, it's a kid's show, I'm not watching it. And
yeah,
I used to act that way too.
A huge percentage of adults are gonna see any animated show and be like, it's for kids, I'm not gonna watch it. But because they're real actors, oh yeah, maybe I'll check it out. But there's so much in that show that I'm like, they're gonna have to use a lot of CG and stuff to pull that off, and I just don't know if it's gonna work.
I'm hopeful. Like I said, I'm still interested. I'm gonna check it out. I'm excited for Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, if nothing else.
On to YouTube questions. Rishav wants to know if we'll see multiple chosen ones in Star Wars like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Thought that was a fitting question to follow up on. But yeah, like the whole premise of Avatar, if you haven't seen it, is that there's like a chosen one every generation that can wield all four elements.
Mm-hmm. Just like Buffy. She can't wield all four elements.
No, she's just strong.
She's real strong.
She has the power to fight against the vampires and the forces of darkness. But Star Wars, I think, has something similar. Like, Anakin, in my mind, is the chosen one of prophecy. I think George Lucas made that clear, that there was a prophecy about a chosen one bringing balance to the Force and destroying the Sith, and he was like, that was Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been other cases, other stories where they've talked about how the Force finds its vessels. So I think the Force does choose people over time. I think Luke, Leia, Ben Solo, Rey, like I think all of these people were chosen by the Force to fulfill specific roles. Probably Ahsoka too.
Yeah.
It's just that Anakin had like that one prophecy about it. Also, there are other prophecies. There are that it's not just that one chosen one prophecy. There are more than that.
Yeah. And just from a storytelling standpoint, like every generation needs its character to go on the hero's journey.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to continue to see that similar character pop up in each generation's worth of Star Wars content. So definitely.
Yeah.
More chosen ones.
I
Maybe
don't-
not the chosen one, like you were saying.
I don't think it's the way Avatar is, where it's the same basic soul. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm right in that lore, but
But it will, for Buffy, it's like when the Slayer dies, another one is chosen. So it's not like that,
Right.
really.
I think there can be multiple chosen ones at any given time that are just like chosen by the Force for a specific task. And like Avatar, each Avatar is connected to the one that came before it, which is also kind of like Buffy. But yeah, I don't think it's quite like that. Although Luke does tell Rey that 1,000 generations of Jedi live in her, but I don't think he meant that literally. So we're getting weird with it.
Jedi Pastor Aaron asks if we'll ever see Luke and Leia training together in a dedicated story.
I think it's only a matter of time before we get that.
I would love that, honestly. I don't know if a hard dedicated story just about that it would be where we would see it, but if we ever get more Luke content from that time period, we would have to see it.
I'd love a good Legends style trilogy, kind of like the Jedi Academy trilogy, where Luke was just, I'm going to set up my training school. He wouldn't be doing that, but it's just like Leia and I are training together. Also, there's some threat that the whole gang needs to deal with. So it's going to be a little bit about Leia's training, a little bit about whatever is going on. A tiny series of books would be cool. The Hidden Empire comics by Charles Soule recently showed us a bit of them training together. So I do wonder if he could have been building to when the comics finally catch up to Return of the Jedi, maybe the next iteration of Star Wars comics, the mainline run, will be about that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's a possibility.
I would love to see a dedicated Leia book or series of books or comics or animated show, anything like that. Mostly from Leia's point of view, because I loved reading her chapters in Princess and the Scoundrel. So I feel like getting to see her...
They referenced exactly that story in their questions. So.
Getting to see her point of view and just get a look inside her head of how she was feeling during that time would be really great.
I agree that it could be any format, any media. I do think they're probably going to hold off on it for a minute until maybe the Filoni movie is done. Like, I could see him being like, I might use some of these ideas. So before they set anything in stone in comics or books, they might wait and just see what that era looks like as it's fleshed out more.
Yeah. And if we ever saw that in live action, I would hope that it's at a point in the future where we're all ready to admit that we can just recast those characters, have younger people play them, and then just enjoy the story.
And that's kind of why I figure just do books or comics, animated show, any of that works for me. Also, as I said, the stuff about the Mandoverse, that's like 4 years or so after Luke and Leia were training. Like, I think she is out of the Jedi life and just back as a senator, as they called her Senator Organa in Ahsoka. So I think she's probably done training by then, but still, Filoni might say something about that time period.
Michael Caddick wants to know if The Mandalorian will continue after Dave Filoni's movie.
I think that's just up to Jon Favreau and what he wants to do.
I think so too. I don't know where that story is going to end, but his movie, I mean, but like The Mandalorian is like their top show, right? Din and Grogu are their top performers right now, and CGI Luke or whatever.
I mean, I think it's honestly Baby Yoda that pulled in a huge audience for that show.
So I think, yes, it will continue on, especially that like they can have just about anyone in Din's suit. So it's like anyone in the suit plus a puppet. It's easy money for them.
I think there were some quotes from Favreau and Filoni, or maybe just Favreau. They were talking about the movie, and I think Favreau said that it wouldn't necessarily have to end with the movie. Like, a bunch of storytelling points will culminate there, but The Mandalorian could continue on. I mean, who knows how long Grogu's court-appointed adventures are going to take. And it's going to take... He's never going to grow up. Like, he's 50 years old.
He's going to be around for a long time.
And all of The Mandalorian, according to the Timelines book, has taken place in the same year. A lot of people get that misconstrued when Favreau said that Grogu was with Luke for 2 years. He did not mean in the timeline. He meant in the real world, like, audiences haven't seen Grogu in that long. So I it's wild that whole story has only been a year. Like,
yeah,
if they just keep up with that pace, Grogu will always be a baby. It's the dream.
Forever baby.
Like we've been doing, we're going to finish up with one of these conversation cards from Kelly Knox, author of the upcoming Star Wars Dad Jokes book. Ezra Bridger, a young Jedi in training who we meet in Star Wars Rebels, has a Force connection with animals. Have you ever felt like you knew what your pet or other animals around you were saying?
Aww. Absolutely. I mean, we have voices for our pets that we just talk as them out loud to each other.
I'm sure we're right all the time.
Yeah.
I bet Pippin's voice is far more sinister.
I'm sure.
Than we portray him to be.
Yeah. Our voice for Hilo is... I'm sure he doesn't just go around saying, well, my name's Hilo and I'm a good boy. But both of those things are true.
Yeah.
And I think he says that to himself.
I think our voice for Hilo is pretty accurate. Pippin, we're kind of soft with him, like, oh, I'm Pippin. Like, oh, feed me, it's lunchtime.
Because his meow
Here he comes.
His meow is like so high pitched. So every time I see Pippin, I'm like, oh, I'm Pippin.
Yeah, but I think that his voice is probably a lot more. Yeah, you're chiming in now. I
Yes,
think he's
Pippin.
like, feed me or die. He's like a little bit of Batman. You gonna purr in the mic? No. You've been very good about not showing off your butthole today, though.
Good job, Pippin. He does like lay down very like similar to Jabba sometimes. He'll just like flop over on his side and he's just like meh.
That's what he sounds like. Just Una Juda. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.